Friday, February 8th, 2019, Monaco64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I want to talk about central banking and how the institution of central banking is a safety net for the very rich. You might find it funny, but yeah, it's socialism for the very rich. And the reason why I do not espouse any kind of socialism, be it for the very rich, be it for the very poor, because the people in the middle always get hurt with socialism. The only way you can impose socialism is through force. If you're going to have freedom and small government, you can't have socialism. Anyway, before I look into the perpetual central banking safety net for the for the bankers, for Wall Street, for the very wealthy, I'll look into the markets this morning, see what they're doing. It's just before 8:30 a.m. In London. Yesterday, of course, the stock markets did drop. I think the Dow was down 220 points. It was down over 300. I think it dipped just below 25,000. So stock markets are a little bit under pressure. Let's see what we're doing then. Well, we've got spot gold at 1309.30. We did go down to around 1302 yesterday and we rebounded. Right now it looks like 1312 is a good resistance. That's where we went up to later yesterday after it dipped to 1302. And overnight, that's where the high's been. The low's been 1307.50. So we're down just under $1 in gold. Silver, 1570, down about 3 cents. The range has been 1565 to 1582. Right now, the Dow futures is down 108 at 25,065. The low has been 25,021 overnight. So it's down just under 0.5%. S&P 500 is down 10. Also just under 0.5% at 26.94. NASDAQ 100 future is down, let's see, 41 or 2/3% at 68.62. Currency-wise, the pound's down 0.16% at 129.30. The pound did rebound a little bit yesterday during the day. I think, yeah, there was the Bank of England meeting. And Mark Carney spoke, and I didn't really listen to it, but I saw a headline saying that there's still a chance that they could even raise rates. I think that's just talk from Mark Carney anyway. Euro 113.30, unchanged. Dollar 109.80 as well, unchanged. So dollar yen, sorry. So not much going on there. Dollar down 0.1% against the yuan, 677. Crude oil down 2/3%. WTI at 52.50. So still stuck in the range. I would say between 50 and 55 at the moment. Crude oil, not much direction. The yield curve right now, yeah, the 10-year yield is at 265. So it's continuing to drop. The 1-5 yield spread now is, yeah, almost, it's about 8 basis points, negative 8 basis points. So not a good sign for the economy. And I saw this tweet yesterday. Michael Krieger of Liberty Blitzkrieg retweeted it. And it's from a guy called Tavi Costa or Ottavio Costa. And he says 36% of the U.S. yield curve is now inverted across 30-year to overnight rates. It is just as high as it was at the start of the tech and housing busts. This is not another 2016 soft landing scenario. Watch what the credit market is telling us. So he's not saying that the 30 years are inverted. He's just saying that the percentage of maturities within, from overnight to 30 years is inverted. So that's a good point there from this guy, I thought. Central banking, I mean, that's one of my missions with my channel, Monaco64. And it's been kind of my mission even before I started this channel. even before the '08 crisis. I told a lot of people about the monetary system and how it worked, that we didn't need central banks. So I'm right there with Ron Paul and the Fed. And why, even though I'm in the UK, why do I focus on the Fed? Well, because I think if the Fed is abolished and we end central banking, the whole of the world will have to follow. So, you know, I'm not like going end the Bank of England, even though that would be great too. But I think the Bank of England would lose a lot of power if the Fed was abolished, and the whole world will probably have to follow. My main gripe about central banking is that it's part of the communist, one of the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, centralizing credit. And all that does is concentrate power. And usually the power is where the money is. And some people have been asking me about modern monetary theory, MMT. And I don't think it's any different. It's just going to be the same as we have now, but it will be focused more on the general public, like on the poorer part of society. It's going to be, you know, favoring them. It's what one of Bernie Sanders' advisors proposed, Professor Stephanie Kelton from Stony Brook University. It's just more central planning. It's more big government. In this MMT, you know, the government has the power to issue the currency for free, but it keeps taxing. So that's what I don't understand. It just shows that MMT, they want to allow government to keep taxing people, even though the government can issue the currency for free. Why do you need to tax people? That's, you know, a no-no for me. But let's get to the why I said central banking is a social safety net for the very rich, for the bankers, and for Wall Street. Well, it goes back to a long time ago. I think it was Walter Bagehot who said that central banking is there to provide liquidity, it's the lender of last resort for the bankers. Well, that creates moral hazard. Yeah, that is the safety net. The fact that bankers know that there's always going to be someone there to bail them out. And so it's a perpetual put option financed by us, by the general public. How do we finance it? Well, through taxation, through inflation, which is a form of tax, through an ever-increasing national debt, which we, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and their children will have to keep paying. That's why I'm all for small government. Central banking, socialism, centralized credit. It's for people who think they can't live, you know, self-sufficiently, that someone, you know, in government or who went to the best universities, the elite, they know better and they have to run our lives. And that's totally false, especially in this day and age where people don't even have to go to university, or don't even, you know, they can learn things online. More and more people are twigging onto the fact that we don't need government to run our lives. The government is like a broker. It's like, and we don't need a broker. We want to deal directly. You know, we don't want to give our hard-earned cash to government for them to run our lives. And that's what central banking does. And the problem about central banking, the people who run the system, they create these booms and busts, and it favors usually the very rich, and then and then the general public gets angry, like they're getting angry now, and they call for things that are actually not good for them, in my opinion, like MMT, more socialism. What we need is very small government, sound money, free markets. That's why cryptocurrencies are interesting as well, because it's kind of sprung from the market. It hasn't been created by government, and you don't need government to create that. I think cryptocurrencies could have a future. They will have to compete with other forms of money or currencies like gold and silver or anything else. So we need to end the Fed. We need to educate people that the market is the best the best way to allocate resources. We don't need all the rules and regulations that we have now. Again, the market determines that. And I know a lot of people are kind of, when people like me say that we need very small government, minimal government, they say, oh, who's going to provide education or health care or the roads? Well, the market does that. There was no central bank in the United States from 1837 to 1914. Who built the roads then? Granted, there was a lot of government interference. I think, central government in the US even. We haven't, it wasn't totally free, but there was no central banking. Very little socialism. Government was very small. Even the British, in the heights of the British Empire, I think from the 18th to the early 20th century, there's only about 5,000 civil servants running the government. So it was very small. It would be the same thing the other way around for MMT. We in the middle would be financing for the general public. Again, I think in the end of the day, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And all these theories, MMT, central banking, the PhD central banking that we have now, if it's very complicated, if there are equations, like there are in our present system and MMT, if it's complicated and doesn't make sense, and it's not simple, it doesn't fulfill the Occam's razor, theory of simplicity, it's no good. The simplest thing, in my opinion, is the rule of law, small government, sound money, free markets, and people deal voluntarily with each other with no use of force. We need to keep exposing central banking, big government, socialism. It's all part of the scheme. Central bankers and a lot of the very rich, they're not pro-free market. Socialism and central banking kills competition. That's what it does, and we don't want that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, share it far and wide, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.